All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are back with the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 12 now, and big announcements today.
Yeah.
We have
Pregnant. No, sorry, go on.
which one of us?
Wow. Are you, you know what, let's not go there.
I am feeling a bit fat. No, what I was, we first topic today. We have actually expanded where the podcast is now available. Previously, we were just uploading this to YouTube, but now it is available. As of today, it's available on RSS.com, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and presumably at some point it'll be available on Google. I know I did the registration for it. I haven't seen it show up yet, so.
Yeah, I'm leaving that technical shizzle whizzle to you.
Yeah, gave myself a crash course in it last, what night was that? It was Thursday.
Probably.
But either way.
Most of the prep that I do for these sessions is like the day after So normally Sunday or Monday because I'm hyped from... hyped is the wrong word. I like recording these sessions, and then immediately after the sessions I'm like, I want to look up stuff, and so I do, and then by the time it comes around to Saturday again, I've forgotten most of it.
You're all like, you've got the spirit of the podcast, you're inspired. But yeah, so they're available now as of today. I haven't actually looked to see if anyone's listened or followed them yet, but they exist. You can now listen in audio format. And in fact, this podcast, what I am saying right now, well, actually, it'll be the second one that goes up. So I uploaded our entire backlog minus the test cases because those didn't... I wanted to start with the full ones. But that also means that the podcast starts at episode 4, which is going to be maybe confusing to some people. But they'll just have to find us on YouTube.
The ethos.
Oh, and after that long rant I had about how shit Twitter is last week, or was it last week or the week the week before last? We now, it seemed like we had to. I made a Twitter account for the podcast.
Yeah. Honestly, some of the rubbish that's on Twitter, it's quite amusing to me. I went on there for the first time yesterday in like, I don't know, several years, and I don't know if I can really talk about the kind of thing that was hashtagged. But yeah, there's some really weird stuff being hashtagged, and I don't understand Twitter users. Is the long and short.
The hashtag, how can you say that in a more tame way? Hashtag, a British slang word for people engaging in adult activities in the great outdoors.
Exactly. Normally in cars, and that was hashtagged as things happening in the UK right now. Slightly awkward, you know. And the other one was... Oh, there was something else really... Oh, yeah, no, horrible thing that happened in France the other day.
Yeah. That's
which was badly named, I think. Considering how many supposed snowflakes are on Twitter, that was incredibly insensitive to, I don't know, to hashtag it that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what the person did, so I suppose they can't really change that fact, but they could, make it a little bit less meme-ish.
I think, but that's the way. I mean, that's how communication seems to be now. It's things barely exist for 10 minutes before they get turned into a meme. Coronavirus got turned into a meme within weeks.
I don't know, maybe... I don't know. I think there is such thing as too soon, and...
Yeah. I personally agree.
I think it's important to make jokes of the bad things that happened. Like, make jokes about the Nazis, sure, that's fine. They're a terrible thing, and it's a sign that we're moving on at this late stage.
That we can make fun of them, yeah.
Yeah. But if you said that back in the day, I think that would be incredibly insensitive, and I think it kind of is now what they said.
I don't know, in the US we had a comic book where Captain America punched Hitler in the face.
That's not a joke, though. That's just... that's not making... I wouldn't say making light on the subject.
No, it was, it's a metaphor.
it's mocking them. So I suppose that was okay at the time. Anyway, if the Twitter article, if the hashtag was something that was mocking what happened in France,
Hmm.
then that's fine. But it's just repeating what the guy said. That's repeating his message.
Yeah.
Um, like, I don't think they would have started writing out Hitler's speeches in comics back in those days in America. Probably not.
Yeah, not doing like parodies of them or something like that. Um, yeah, I agree. I mean, I personally don't think people should be stopped from doing that, but it shows poor decorum.
No, no, you shouldn't stop people from doing it at all.
But
But
God,
they
sorry.
need to learn when it is and isn't appropriate. And I don't think Twitter is very good at deciding whether people. Well, I don't know.
God,
To be fair, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all of these things at the moment have been deciding where their line is on what is and isn't allowed, and I think a lot of them are doing it quite badly.
yeah, and it's starting to. It's because they're not. That's not their intended purpose. They've started to arbitrate like what can and can't be said, what kind of conversations can and can't be had, and
Yeah.
it's not their place to do. They're
Mm.
companies that are maybe a few thousand people. They're mostly based in one tiny region of the U.S. Like, who are they to dictate what the rest of the world can do and say?
Yeah,
I think
and they
yeah,
definitely have to. Like, when you get some of the some absolutely terrible things going up on YouTube, then yes, they absolutely
Well,
have
yeah,
to be
yeah.
taken down.
YouTube's got to
Uh,
if there's certain things that definitely in video format they have to be arbitrated. I'm more talking
Yeah.
about things like
Doctor Disrespect.
yeah, that's a Twitch thing.
Yeah,
That's another one. No one still really knows why that guy got banned.
no one knows. And also, the latest thing on that, which I heard about yesterday, is that Shroud is a
Yeah.
friend
Oh,
of.
Just some background here because we're pivoting very quickly here.
Yeah, sorry.
Doctor Disrespect is a fairly prominent video game streamer. Previously on Twitch, he had some kind of a multi-million-dollar contract with Twitch. One day, Twitch banned him. Apparently, he was not informed. He didn't know about it. Twitch to date has never said anything about it. Twitch being a major video game streaming platform. I say video game streaming platform. These days, it seems mostly to be IRL streamers and tits, but it was ostensibly a video game streaming platform. So he got banned on that. He streams on YouTube now, has a fairly large audience. That's the background. Shroud also is another streamer. Go on with your story.
And what's more, not only is Doctor Disrespect banned from the platform, but people who are playing in games with Doctor
Dr. Dick.
Disrespect, so they are also getting banned. Like, you cannot even associate with him. And so
That's kind of sketchy.
one of the things that Shroud said very recently on one of his streams was that there is a game where I can't remember what the name of the game is. I'm sorry. Where they have done a collab with Doctor Disrespect. Doctor Disrespect has his own entire map on that game, and there is a playable character skin of Doctor Disrespect in the game. And Shroud is suggesting that possibly you can't even equip that skin because Twitch may ban you just for wearing a skin in a game that resembles Doctor Disrespect. Now it's all just hearsay. Like, this is just Shroud's opinion, but given his position in Twitch, he's a very popular streamer with a lot of know-how of the inside of the industry. Like, that's kind of scary to think that just equipping a skin in game could potentially cut your income.
Yeah, exactly. These people who that's something that I don't think there are adequate protections in place for when it comes to these social platforms in general. People who make their livings on YouTube, make their livings on Twitch, make their livings on whatever these different streaming or video sharing platforms are. Having these companies being able to arbitrarily decide, oh yeah, you did something we aren't really a fan of, you're gone. That there needs to be more adequate protections put in place from a legal sense, I think, because I don't think these platforms, that wasn't what was originally happening. Like when YouTube came up, it was just some quirky video sharing site. When Twitch started, it was just like a fun way to go like, hey, look, I'm playing a video game. You guys can watch me. I don't think the huge monetary industries that have grown up around these things have been adequately vetted, because you're right, these companies can just arbitrarily go like, we're going to shut your lights off.
Yep.
It's the same sort of things that would happen in like in the Industrial Revolution with factory workers. It's like, oh, we're so sorry you lost your hand, but you're fired.
Yeah. There's no fallbacks. There's no safety net. I think with YouTube, I don't know if it's the same with Twitch, but they have strikes. So 3 strikes and you're out, as it were.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're able to rescind strikes. Like if you fix a video or bring it down or such, I think they are permanent, which is a bit scary.
My understanding from having, like, so I've had the YouTube channel for quite a while now, and I have had copyright strikes go up on my channel. But there's a difference. There's like a copyright claim and a copyright strike. A copyright claim is where they don't want the video taken down, but they want to monetize the video for them, or to have it edited out. You can do that too. They can either block it, or they can choose to put ads on your video, and then I had one that I disputed, and it got ruled on in my favor. There was a demo of a game I was playing, and apparently the music in one of the cutscenes was copyrighted. And I was like, it's a video game. I'm talking over the music. I have no idea why this got copyrighted. And it got overturned. I don't... Oh, crap. There's my alarm going off. We are recording this thing very early today.
Yep. Bright and early.
Yeah, even earlier. Last week we started recording at 7:40. This week we started recording at just before 6 Eastern time.
Yeah.
But yeah...
It's a beautiful day in England. You cannot see the sky for all the clouds, and
well, I said this before we started. It's raining pretty hard here. I can hear it coming down outside my window. But enough about the weather. Yeah, so copyright. I think you're right. Copyright strikes, they can be removed, but it's a much more involved and complicated process.
Yeah, you quite often see the bigger YouTubers having like these. Getting together with other big YouTubers and a whole bunch of fans and signing petitions and things to get channels unbanned and such, which I think it's very nice to see the community working together, and I think it's a very good way also for it's going to sound mad, but it's a good way for creators, content creators, to kind of meet each other and
networking,
share an interest, because they're all in the same boat.
It's the YouTuber equivalent of networking.
Yeah, well, except it's for a really, it's an unfortunate.
It's for a shit reason. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, hopefully we never get to that stage.
Yeah.
For all the people we slander on the podcast.
Oh God. Yeah. At this point, this is firmly within the hobby space.
Yep.
All right. Well, so pivoting right along, we I think that we've talked about our little expansion and then gone off onto a whole nother social media rant. I think you had something you wanted to talk about, specifically RuneScape, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We're ready for this. Okay. This is just not.
You should give kind of a quick background on what RuneScape is, because I barely know what it is. I mean, I know it's a game, and I know people waste tons of time on it, but I have no idea beyond that.
Okay, so RuneScape is a very old game. You play it on a browser, typically. It's just come out on Steam, but that's beside the point. This game came out in like 2000 or something, maybe even before that. I played it as a very young child, and I've kind of came back to it about 10 years later when I realised it had been re-released. And it still has really old graphics, and a lot of the people who play it are people who played it in their childhood and they've come back to it and they're still playing it, like after all this time. It was very much, I think, a competitor with World of Warcraft. So basically, when I was at school, everyone either played RuneScape or World of Warcraft. It's kind of like a PlayStation Xbox thing. Anyway, because the game has been around for such a long time, there have been people exploiting the heck out of this game. Whether through like bots or just straight up cheating. There's like crazy gambling rings in it. I'm not even kidding. People make a lot of money, real money, off of this game. And that's kind of where this story kind of starts with, because it's, how can I put this? Like I said, you can make real money off of this game. Not legally, like the people Jagex who made the game do not want this happening, but you can buy in-game money with real money, essentially.
Yeah.
And likewise, you can buy armor and weapons and skills and things like that. So there's a country which it's Venezuela, where at one point they were having a really bad time with their economics, right? So they were hyperinflated.
I mean, they kind of still are.
Yeah, well, I don't know what their current thing is. This is not a new story. I don't know when this actually happened, but I remember hearing about it at the time, but I didn't pay much attention to it.
Venezuela's had a rough go of it in general.
Yeah, and people were so... It was such a poor country that it costs like, I don't know, I think someone said about £40, £80, I can't remember, something like that, to get a passport to leave the country.
It's pretty ridiculous. And tell the story, and then I'll... To give some context, okay. Venezuela actually is... This is the sad part, is one of the most resource-rich countries in South America. But they have such shit government and economic policies, and have had like a repeated... They had a brief stint of prosperity before their government went entirely to shit again. And yeah, it's just sad, because they could be the most wealthy nation in South America, but they've just handled the like insane abundance that their country has poorly. So yeah, they've had crazy hyperinflation.
Yeah.
A little bit of background. Go on.
So the average working wage dropped to somewhere below $5 a week at one point. I think it was $5 a week. It might have been. It might have even been crazier than that.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
And so people were actually, like, en masse, Venezuelan people worked out that you could make more money playing RuneScape as a 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week, than actually getting a proper job. So people would, load up RuneScape, and they would find they could actually make about doing the exact same task in RuneScape constantly for a whole working day. They could make like $5 a day.
I mean, that's a similar story to the World of Warcraft gold farmers in China.
Yeah, I mean, that's what this is. This is gold farming. But yes, and so the number of gold farmers in the game like rocketed, obviously, because people wanted to earn a living in Venezuela.
It's honestly, it's incredibly inventive. It's resourceful. You know, good on them.
But you do kind of get this paradox of it is. I don't know. It's a double-bladed sword. The people who made the game, they obviously don't want people selling money selling their in-game money, because the people who are buying the in-game money are probably like 10-year-olds using their parents' credit cards.
Yeah,
and that's morally wrong. But at the same time, if you ban enough of these accounts, every time you ban one of these accounts where it's a person who's trying to make a living off of this game, at the same time it's like, well, I don't know, it feels wrong. It's entirely the Venezuelan government's fault, But I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your take?
I mean, personally, I kind of gave a little bit of it away right off the bat. Like, I think I have a lot of respect for the people who are doing it, like the people who are actually doing the farming, because
It is
I mean,
mind-numbing.
when you're when you're at like one of those, like in those desperate situations, like just being that inventive and creative and finding like an alternative way to actually, in that case, quintuple their income, because they were making $5 a week before. Now they're making $5 a day. I'm assuming they're working 5 days a week. They might do that all 7 days.
Yeah.
You know, great. That being said, on the other side, you're talking about the potential of it being just some kid using their parents' credit card to buy stuff. Part of that, like, this is an issue that I have a kind of a complex opinion on. I personally don't have any problem with it in principle. If it's just any normal person like buying the money, I think that makes perfect sense. I know I personally, playing games like that now as an adult, I'm like, I work more than 50 hours a week. I don't have time to grind like I used to in video games. Which is why a lot of the times I don't really play MMOs or games like that, because they do sink. It's quite a bit of a time investment. That being said, I think some of the responsibility for those kids blowing all that money is on the parents. Like, you know, part of it is like, okay, this kid probably, the parents should have educated them better on how to deal with like money and finances and things like that. And part of it's on the games themselves. There's a lot of games where ostensibly they're okay for kids to play, but this goes back to the whole loot box controversy, because they're essentially, it's programming kids to want to gamble early. But this is different. Like, the whole RuneScape thing is a little bit different, because it's not like they're gambling. It's not a game of chance. They're learning about an actual transaction. I pay this money and I get this value in return, right?
Well, not always in the game, but I'll come on to that in a bit.
Okay. Well, I personally don't think it's too bad of a thing. I think it's an overall good. It's good for the people in Venezuela who are actually able to find a better source of income. And I think, despite maybe the fact that some kids, in some instances, there was probably somebody who blew way more money than they should have. But overall, you know, even if it was like a kid taking their parents' credit card to do it, you know, maybe if they spent too much, they learn a life lesson, and maybe they learn a little bit about economics, or maybe their parent, you know, takes the credit card and puts their fist through their computer. I don't know what kind of household they're in.
I mean, hopefully the parents learn a life lesson, that is not to give their kids a credit card. But
I actually, quick thing. Little side notes talking about finances when you're a kid. I actually had a credit card in middle school. It wasn't like my own. You're not allowed to have your own when you're a kid. No, because they won't. I think you have to be 16 or something like that in the U.S. and then you can get one, and it has to be through a bank or something like that. But no, when I was young, like 10 or 11, my mother got me a credit card that was attached to her account that only had like a $500 limit, which was still an enormous amount for a kid my age. So I could have easily just like blown it on a whole bunch of random shit. But I mean, she did it as kind of a way to teach me how to deal with finances at an early age.
Imagine all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards you could buy.
Yeah. That's. I mean, I did. I put that down to like my financial habits now, in that like I charge everything to a credit card, but I pay it off instantly. I hate being in debt or having like
anyone,
yeah, exactly, or having I never spend more than I actually have, and I think that's part of it. That's why even the whole RuneScape kids, you know, paying money out thing, and I think it might help teach them how to deal with finances, even if there's a few of them that go way overboard and end up fucking themselves over. Yeah, little aside there. You were going
I
into
was gonna
something.
say, so regarding people actually getting something from the paying into RuneScape, there are actually there's a place called the Jewel Arena,
Hmm.
and also to an extent the Wilderness, where players can fight each other, and if you die, you drop everything that you have on the ground, and the other person can pick it up.
Oh, banditos.
So there are endless numbers of tricks and scams and things like that, and literal gambling rings inside of the game where people say, you know, if I, in fact, there's some Twitch streamers who the people who are watching their stream will give the person who's streaming money at a percentage, right? So the Twitch stream will literally be like, right, I want, come on, can someone give me like 10 mil, and I'll give you, you know, 150%, you know, back.
Oh my.
Yeah, and I don't understand. Like, this is people who have real gambling addictions, and
Yeah.
apparently one Twitch streamer, you were watching his stream, and over the weeks, it was really weird. Apparently, you literally saw the things in the back of his like camera disappearing. Like, at one point, it's like the curtains, then the TV and stuff,
Oh
and
my.
he's just selling this stuff off to pay for in-game RuneScape stuff, which he's just losing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I.
So
That's kind of fucked up. Like,
yeah.
I personally, we've talked. I like I take an occasional trip to the casino. I haven't been to a casino actually in years, but there's
Probably not
one.
since we were with me.
Yeah, well, that's actually true. The last
The
casino I went to
Bristol.
was probably in the UK.
Yeah.
Um, but it was actually in Bristol before
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
visited you. I went to that casino across the way, and actually I won quite a bit of money there.
Yeah.
Um,
We all know about your luck.
well, no, but that's the thing. Like, gambling, I don't have a problem with it. I just you need to go in with the right mindset. You can't chase money. You can't go in there thinking you're gonna win big. You can't keep coming back to it like it's a source of income.
Yeah.
Like,
Everything you go in with, you've got to expect to lose.
exactly. Like, if I go, like, I like playing blackjack when I go to a casino. If I go to a casino and say I bring like $500 and I'm like, this is my $500. I'm gonna gamble with this. I'm gonna expect to just lose it. I'll just
Mm.
assume that this is $500 I'm gonna play with all night. If I walk away with some of that, great. If I walk away with more than that, great. If I walk away with none of that, great. Either way, I had fun playing a game all night, hanging out with people, right?
Yeah.
And I never go. You never go to a. I don't understand people who go to a casino alone. Um, but anyway, point being, the gambling addiction thing, that is a real. You see this. This is why a lot of the people were starting to call. When I say a lot of the people, a lot of gaming centric YouTubers that I follow were starting to call loot boxes and things like that, casinos and gambling, because you see these people who play games like FIFA,
Oh, God.
or anything like that, and you can essentially roll the dice to get good characters and stuff, and it's like, oh, it's like $5 for a pack, and you might
Yeah.
get some good stuff in it, or you might get shit. And people would drop, like, this was in Europe, the story I was reading. Guy spent like something like 30,000 euros on
Yeah.
one game within the course of a year, and that that's there needs to be. So whenever you advertise gambling in the U.S., a lot of the times they'll always have like a gambler support hotline, like
Mm.
problems with gambling addiction, call 1-800 blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's by law they have to.
Yeah. Okay, so it's the same thing over there.
Yeah, although I don't know, they have to include it, but they include it in the smallest goddamn text, or they make it's the slogan is when the fun stops, stop, right?
Yeah.
But the word fun is in this super jazzy, like lights
Oh.
looking font, so they actually make it look like a positive thing.
See,
Which
I
is a bit-
don't. I don't know if maybe it's by regulation here, but anytime I see that warning, it's actually in big prominent text. And
Yeah,
it's not like made to look fancy in any way. That I don't know if that's a U.S. thing or just a thing in my state, but
I mean that's how it should be. Really, it should be
yeah.
front and center. You know.
But what I'm leading up to here is I think we are getting to a point where games that have those types of mechanics in them. Um, I mean, the RuneScape thing, there's not really much you can do that because it's almost like it's an underground gambling den in a video game.
Yeah.
There's not too much you can do to fix that.
You can also just straight up pay the creators of the game mode to get money in game. Unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Well,
Because you can buy a membership and you can sell those tokens that they give you to redeem the membership for in-game currency.
see that I'm not so I don't have as much of a problem with that because
No.
it's a straight up transaction. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
It's not a roll of the dice.
Although market prices for membership does change,
Mhm.
so one day it might be more expensive than another, etc. So
And again, that's also just economics.
yeah, I think it's a really good the Grand Exchange, which is basically the stock market in RuneScape.
Yeah.
I think that's really good for teaching people how money works and how the value of things changes. But sorry, I kept interrupting you.
No. That's go on. That's the kind of conversation this is. I mean,
Mm.
is it, this doesn't have to be like we're just trading off having a monologue. But yeah, I think that's completely. So we're coming up on the end of segment one. So I'll just I have one final thought, and I'll let you kind of have the last word. But I think stuff like that is very important for exactly that reason. At least in the U.S., financial and monetary education isn't really a priority. Like in schools, like there's some nicer schools will have like an optional finance class or something like that. But if you learn how to deal with money, at least in my experience, it's typically from friends or family or outside circumstances besides education.
Yeah, I can't say I've really ever been given any actual lessons from this about this kind of thing. But likewise with it also it's quite good for telling you about upselling because take wooden logs in the game, for example. There's U logs which might sell for let's say 10 pieces of gold, right? If you buy a U log and then you have the skill to turn it into those logs into a longbow, and then sell it on for 16 GP gold pieces, then that shows okay, right? I invested 10, I changed it, increased the value by 6, and then sold it back off again. That's upselling. I mean, there's a lot of things I think that can be learnt from. It's quite a good replica of how things work in real life in a lot of senses.
Yeah, no, it teaches you how markets and economics actually work. That's really cool. That I've always been fascinated with that. Like when video games can emulate just unexpected aspects of real life and real society.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that ended up actually being a really surprisingly interesting conversation that went in ways I wasn't expecting.
Started on Twitter and ended up with economy.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we're a finance podcast now.
The full scale. Yes, we know everything there is to know about money. You invest in us, okay, and we will give you more money. Pyramid schemes.
Would you like to play money-making game? Yeah. All right. So that is going to be the end of segment 1. We will be back in just a few moments with segment number 2, media. Stay tuned, and thank you for listening.